Hello guys, welcome to Dad TV. This is Dhanashekar, and in today's basic Catia video tutorial, we are going to discuss about the constraint toolbar in the Sketcher environment. So you can go into the Sketcher module by two ways, by selecting mechanical design Sketcher module, or else you can select the part design. But remember, when you're going from part design, you need to select the datum planes. You can give the part name here. Select the datum plane in which you need to create the sketch, and then you need to select the Sketcher icon. When you click onto the Sketcher icon, you will be entering into the GUI of Sketcher environment. And here we have already discussed enough about the profile toolbar and the modifying toolbar. This modifying toolbar is also known as the operation toolbar. So as we discussed these things enough, so we are straightly going into the constraint toolbar. In the constraint toolbar, let's have an overview of the icons. The first one is constraint defined box. Next constraint tool is there, fix together option, animate constraint option, edit multi-constraint option. But we are not going to discuss all these tools, but except constraint tools and constraint defined box, since this is required for the basic Catia dimensioning. So we all know that there are two types of constraint. One is geometrical constraint and another one is dimensional constraint. We have an option in Catia to enable and disable the geometrical and dimensional constraint at the top of the Catia screen. So you can either disable it or enable it. But remember, when you are disabling the icon, you are not full-fledged to use the constraint tools. So always keep it enabled. So for your level of understanding, I'm creating multiple sketches to explain the constraints. First, I'm creating a center rectangle using the origin point. Then I'm creating the corner rectangle. And I'm creating one circle. And I'm creating one line in a single window. When you want to apply the geometrical constraint will be defaultly applied to all your geometries. Like this is the geometrical constraint, H, V, and all these things are geometrical constraint. Geometrical constraint determines the horizontal, vertical line, perpendicular line, or parallel line, or angularity. All these things will be determined by the geometrical constraint. The dimensional constraint determines its height, width, depth. All these value determines the dimensional constraint. So when you want to apply dimensional constraint, you need to select the constraint tool available here. So just select the constraint tool, select the line which you need to apply the constraint. So if you want to change the dimension, just double click on it, change the dimension straight away and click enter. The value will be directly replaced onto your model. If you need to apply two or more dimensions continuously, you need to double click on the constraint icon so that it will be continuously enabled. So I'm applying dimensions here and I'm applying the dimension here. When I give dimension for this center rectangle, the center rectangle turned into green color. This determines that this is a fully constrained geometry. The fully constrained geometry is nothing but if you provide the all necessary detailings for the sketch, then the sketch will turn into the fully constrained. If other sketches are in white color, this determines that these sketches are partially constrained, which means there are some sets of data which is missing from these details. So I'm giving the same thing for this rectangle. I'm providing the width and I'm providing the height. But when I provide width and height for this rectangle, this doesn't turn into green, but except the central rectangle has turned into green. This is because the center rectangle coordinates is being fixed with the center point, origin point. But here, for this rectangle, the coordinate points has not been placed. For that reason only, this rectangle is partially constrained in the space. So when you provide dimension from the origin, so this will also become fully constrained. You can select and give dimensions like this. So as you can see now, this rectangle also become fully constrained. So when I'm trying to apply the dimension which is not needed or else which is additional dimension, for example, the rectangle will be always perpendicular at the corner points. But when I'm trying to apply a dimension which is additional to the data, then the sketch will turn into purple. This purple color indicates that this is over constrained. So the over constrained dimension will cause problem when you are creating a 3D solid elements. So try to avoid all the over constrained elements. If you need to exit from the command which you have selected, you need to press the escape command. And if you want to undo the step, you can use Ctrl Z. So if you need to give the dimension for the circle, just select the circle and provide the dimension. Here, when you are double clicking on it, you can provide whether it is a radius value or a diameter value. Just change whether it is a radius or diameter, and you can enter the value straight away. So this is very simple. And for the circle also, you need to specify the coordinate points. Once if the coordinate points is fixed, then your circle will turn into the fully constrained mode. So this is how you need to apply constraint using constraint tools. And we have a constraint defined box. Let me just tell you what is constraint defined box. For example, if I created one sketch, I want it to be parallel to these two things. So I have created one rectangle already. Now I'm creating one line. It is slightly inclined to this rectangle. I want this line to be parallel to this rectangle. So what I'm doing is I'm just selecting the two lines and I'm going into the constraint defined box. And remember, constraint defined box will be activated only if you select something, unless it will be deactive. So just select to the constraint defined box. Here you have a list of options like distance, length, angle, radius, diameter, semi-major axis, semi-minor axis, symmetry, midpoint, equidistance point, fixed, coincidence, concentricity, tangency, parallelism, perpendicular, horizontal, vertical. And here only certain options are enabled. This determines that for this particular cases, only these are all the possibilities. So Catia is a high-end PLM software which can determine the predictions. So you can either give distance between them, give the lengths or the angles, or you can fix the position. You can make it coincidence. Coincidence nothing but the existing line will coincide with the previous line. Parallelism, or you can make it perpendicular, or you can make it horizontal. So all I need here is a parallelism. When I click on to parallelism, as you can see, the sketch is turned parallel to the selected line. Click apply. So this is what constraint defined box. So I'm going to repeat it with another example. I'm creating one more inclined line. I just want to make it perpendicular to this line. So I'm just selecting these two lines and going into constraint defined box and selecting perpendicular. Now you can see that that particular line has turned into perpendicular direction to the selected line. So in the same way, you can apply further constraint definition as per your needs. This is how you can use the constraint defined box. And here you have an option called animate constraint. For example, if you have given one particular constraint, you want to make it animated, you can select animate constraint and select the constraint you want to animate. Here you can give the actions, you can hide the constraints, you can give the value here, you can edit the value, which means the first value and last value. So for example, my dimension is 40, up to which length it want to extend, for example 80. So my length will be decreasing from 80 to 40. Like this, you can animate your constraint. You can fix the parameters. Here you have the run back option, pause option, stop option, play option. All these things will be available. So I'm just playing the animated video. So here the constraint is being animated from 39.876 to 79.751. So like this, it will be animated. This will be used when you are presenting your video, or when you want to elaborate that your model will enlarge from particular value to particular value, or your model will contract between these two dimensions. You can use animate constraint for that purpose. So after this, in the constraint toolbar, we have some sets of constraint definitions will be useful while creating geometries. That is none other than when I'm creating two circles, I want a line tangential to these two circles. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing a line from the edge point of the circle. I want this line to be tangential to this circle. Just select that circle and select the line. Go to constraint defined box, select tangency. If you select tangency, this will become tangential. And in the same way, if you want to make this circle and this line should be tangential, just go and select the tangency condition and apply tangency. Now you can see that both the circles are tangential to the line which you have drawn. This is how you can utilize the constraint defined box. So with this constraint defined box, we are finishing up the sketcher module. So the next video will be part modeling environment introduction to part modeling and what are all the icons present in the workbench. All these things will be included in the next video. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe us. Thank you.